Good morning, everyone, and Shavua Tov. The Lubavitcher Rabbi once went to visit the summer camp in the Catskills, and when he came into the canteen, he saw a sign on the wall that said, "Money is the root of all evil, so leave your evil here." And the Rebbe said, take down the sign, because money could be the root of all evil, but in Judaism we believe that money, like everything else in this world, depends on how it's utilized. Money could be the root of all good. This week's Torah portion, we begin learning about Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest human being that ever lived, even greater than the patriarchs and the matriarchs that we read about in the book of Bereshit, the only person who communicated with God face to face, the greatest Jewish prophet ever. And the opening scene of Moshe and God is when God reveals himself to Moshe at the burning bush. And what does it say? That the bush was consumed in flames, v'hasneh einenu ukal. But the bush, the thorn bush, the lowly thorn bush was engulfed in flames, but it was not being consumed. And the question is, what was the message and the metaphor that God was showing Moshe with a burning bush that would not be consumed? Now, rabbis tell us that the location of the burning bush would ultimately be the place where the Torah was given at Mount Sinai. The word Sinai, which is Sinai, Mount Sinai, and Sneh, the burning bush, is the same word, almost identical. As a matter of fact, the word Hasneh is the same numerical value as the word Sinai. And just like there was a fire at the burning bush, there was a fire at Mount Sinai. So what was the metaphor of the burning bush that would not be consumed? So our rabbis say that fire is one of the most essential elements in nature. We need fire for warmth. We need fire for light. Imagine a world where we couldn't create warmth or light in it. However, at the same time, fire can be one of the most destructive forces in the world, consuming and destroying. And therefore the Torah says the bush was engulfed in flames, but it would not be consumed. In other words, it was a fire that only had positive attributes, but no negative attributes. And this is the fire of Mount Sinai. Torah is a fire that teaches us how to live our lives in a way that everything God gave us, whether it's our nature, whether it's the elements of nature and around us in the world, should only be used for positive, beneficial purposes and never for negative, destructive purposes. Yesterday, we had a speaker at the synagogue, John Hanna, who's a senior fellow at JINSA, a think tank in Washington, and he spoke very shockingly about the fact that Iran is literally less than a month away from reaching 90% enrichment, which is the level you need to create a nuclear bomb. And we know that one of the prophecies of the days of Mashiach, Messiah, is that there will no longer be war. Nations will beat their swords into plowshares. And the world that we envision, that God wants us to live in, is where we only use everything God gave us for positive purposes. At the same time that we have so many breakthroughs in technology and science, and we're doing unprecedented good in the world, at the same time the stakes are higher as there's the ability to do unprecedented evil. And the idea of an Iranian-Israeli war, because Israel must stop Iran, said John yesterday in his talk, John Hanna, is a nightmare for Israel and for the world, which would have tremendous, tragic consequences. But we are on the threshold of this, God forbid, happening, because man has not learned yet how to only utilize what God has given us for positive purposes and never for negative. This past Hanukkah, there was a public lighting in Sderot. Sderot is a border city with Gaza. As we know, we light menorahs all over the world. And our town of Palm Beach Synagogue put up a menorah that was very original and creative. It was made out of flowers. What a beautiful sight. But in Sderot, the Chabad rabbi built a menorah. If you recall, in May of this year, there was an attack from Gaza. And Gaza, the Hamas terrorists shot 4,000 rockets into Israel. 4,000 rockets into Israel they shot from Gaza, Hamas, and 90% was shot down with the Iron Dome. And many of these, hundreds of them, landed in Sderot. And so the rabbi took the shells of these rockets and built a large 15-foot menorah. And every night of Hanukkah in the streets of Sderot, they lit this menorah, symbolizing the message of the Jewish people, that we take the negative elements of evil all around us and we transform them into a light of a mitzvah, a light of Torah, a light of Judaism, a light to the world. And this is the prayer, and this is the message of the burning bush, that through the Torah, the world should be a place where all of our human tendencies and natures should be used only for good purposes. Wishing everyone a wonderful week.